Hello and welcome to this week's midweek devotional. Hope you enjoyed this warmer weather we've been having and even spent time this Memorial weekend to just reflect and remember those who have served our country and have given up their lives to protect our freedoms. And one of those freedoms which we enjoy as Christians is this freedom of religion. And in this past Sunday's parable, this past Sunday's passage in Matthew 22 that Rick walked us through, I kind of see this freedom reflected in that parable as the king, represented by God, represented by this king, has prepared this banquet and offers this invitation, this free invitation to attend and participate in this good banquet. And as Rick phrased it, that it's not a summons, it's an invitation. And so we see that freedom in that it's an invite that you have to choose to receive and accept. And we see that that's God's design, that's God's good plan to include us, to be invited into this banquet. And many of us maybe recognize moments where either in our own life or in lives of others around us, where we've seen that invitation be rejected, as is shown in this parable, even to the extent where those who rejected it were violent towards the ones who had extended the invitation. And so maybe you've seen that in your own life where the message of Christ, the gospel of Christ, wasn't just merely rejected, but Christians were mocked and belittled because of their faith. I know I have observed that where people just simply didn't say, "Oh, Christianity, that's great for you," but rather they felt like they needed to mock and belittle me or others who held those beliefs. And in those moments as believers, when we find ourselves being mocked or belittled, this parable is one of the ones that reminds us to go back to the place where we remember that we were at one time in and amongst the group of the good and the bad that the invitation was extended to, that grace was extended to, that we freely received. And so by remembering that amazing grace, that ought to cause us to have compassion and to have patience for those who are rejecting that invitation, for those who maybe even be hostile towards us as we share that invitation with them. Our life in Christ should be a testimony of God's patience and God's compassion for them, and that we would ultimately glorify God through that testimony. And we would reflect these words that Peter writes in 1 Peter chapter 2. He says, "Dear friends, I urge you as strangers and exiles to abstain from sinful desires that wage war against the soul. Conduct yourselves honorably among the Gentiles, so that when they slander you as evildoers, they will observe your good works and will glorify God on the day He visits." I recently attended a concert with my son Jack. We saw some of my favorite mid-2000s bands, Anne Berlin and Emery. And one of my favorite lyrics from one of Emery's songs kind of summarizes how I was challenged in this parable and what I've been trying to convey in this devotional. The lyrics go, "We're all the same, people with sinning hearts, which makes us equal. Here's my hand, not words said desperately. It's not our job to make anyone believe." So when you feel mocked for your faith and desire to maybe lash out in harsh judgment, remember the grace that you have received, and that we are a light of that grace as we live out Jesus' words from Matthew 5:16. "In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." Remember, it's an invitation, not a summons. It really is amazing grace.